Hello and welcome to Riddim Rudiments episode 33. Today I will be playing from page 58 of Billy Martin's Riddim, Claves of African Origin. This is a 3-2 Afro-Clave in 4, subtitled Tumbao at 81, I put it at 81 beats per minute. So the X's on top are the Gonkogwe bell part, which is where the clave is played in this book. And this is probably what most Americans will learn first if they're learning a clave, usually in the context of Afro-Cuban salsa type Latin jazz. And it's gang, 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 1 E and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. 1 E and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. 1 and 4. Gang, 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 gang. So 3 meaning there are 3 hits in the first half of the measure, and 2 meaning there are 2 hits in the second half of the measure. So this is probably the most basic clave you'll learn, although this 4 chapter doesn't come until halfway through the Riddim book. The first half of the book is in 6. The tumbao, in an Afro-Cuban sense, the way I learned a tumbao would have another hit on the of 1 and the of 3. 1, a 2, and 3, a 4, and tumbao, tumbao. But in this book, I'm not sure why, the tumbao is only on the and of 2, the bass drum, I mean. The bass drum is on the and of 2 and the and of 4. 1, a 2, boom, 3, a 4, boom. Boom, 1, 4, 1, a 2, boom, 3, a 4, boom. 1, a 2, and 3, a 4, boom. So on the and of 2, on the and of 4 is the bass drum, the dots on the bottom here. The left hand accompaniment is, again, a high-low tom-tom part. And these are on all the ands of each beat, starting with the high tom. Dum, dum, clap, dum, clap, dum, clap, dum. 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and. And the left foot hi-hat chuck part is the same rhythm as that on the end of all the ands. 1, chuck, 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 chuck. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I think I'm doing it a little over tempo at the moment, but. So all 4 limbs should land together on the end of 2 if I do it correctly. And for the most part, when I hit a crash cymbal, it's going to be on the and of 4 with the bass drum instead of where it would normally be on 1. And an alternative to that would be to add an extra bass drum on 1 when you hit the crash cymbal. But for now, I'm primarily going to be crashing on the and of 4 before 1. So think of this as a pickup note. Also, the chord changes in the backing track I made, the chord changes anticipate each chord change by 1/8 note with that bass drum on the and of 4 is the change for the next measure. And the chord progression is F sharp minor 6/9 to A13 to G sharp or A flat 13 to G7 altered. So F sharp minor 6/9, A dominant 7 with the 13 and the 9. A flat or G sharp, also dominant 7 with the 13 and the 9. To G7, flat 9 and sharp 9, flat 13. That's what I mean by altered. Okay. And the rudiments I will be doing are from this list of the 40 basic snare drum rudiments that I've reordered, starting with the Essential 7, and then basically I picked from the Essential 13. So when you get up to 16, this is the old Essential 13. And then I'm going to go all the way up to 27, which gets us up to the second 13, plus those that were missing from the first and second 13. So 27 of the 40 snare drum rudiments. So if you want to look at that list, you can pause it here up to 21. And here, sorry, my printer's a little messed up to 27. That's what I'll be doing. So since this is one of the easier ones in the book, in the rhythm book, I'm going to be doing more rudiments. So while we're at it, we're going to talk about chords and scales. Based on the backing track I made for this particular groove. And I want to talk about, shoot. It's all right. Hang on. I want to talk about a particular voicing and how you can use it for multiple chord qualities, in this case 3. So the voicing is a quartal type chord, meaning stacked in fourths rather than thirds. And it starts with an augmented fourth. So I'm going to start on A, and I'm going to go up an augmented fourth to D sharp. Then the rest are perfect fourths. So D sharp, up a perfect fourth to G sharp. G sharp, up a perfect fourth to C sharp. One more C sharp, up a perfect fourth to F sharp. So it's 5 notes total, spread out in fourths like that. The first one an augmented fourth, the rest perfect fourths. And later that's going to be a diminished fifth for the G7 chord. But you can use this voicing for a minor 6/9 chord. So I'm going to put an F sharp below this. So now that voicing is built on the third, the minor third, above F sharp. Okay, if I take that same exact voicing and move it down a whole step, so starting on G now, but it's still augmented fourth, perfect fourth, perfect fourth, perfect fourth, going up from the bottom, but now this is going to be the 7th for A7. So that would be root 7th, 3rd, 13th, 9th, 5th. And I forgot to mention for F sharp minor 6/9, this will be root 3rd, 6th. Now remember when we were talking about a minor 6 chord, the minor refers to the 3rd, not the 6th. And the 6th is actually a raised or major 6th outside the key signature for a minor key. So don't confuse the names are confusing sometimes, but minor 6 is a minor 3rd and a major 6th above the root. That's why Dorian is so common, is because of that. The 6th not clashing with the 5th of the chord so much. That's why the raised 6 is so common. Okay, so A7, root, 7th, 3rd, 13th, 9th, 5th. I'm going to do that exact same voicing for G sharp 7. Down a half step. So it says augmented fourth, perfect fourth, perfect fourth, perfect fourth. G flat, C, F, B flat, E flat, or F sharp, B sharp, E sharp, A sharp, D sharp. Either way, it sounds and looks like this. Now when I get to G7, I'm going to invert essentially the 3rd and 7th. Well, they already flipped when I went from F sharp minor to A7. That voicing's built on the 3rd for F sharp minor. And then the 7th for A. 7 and A flat or G sharp 7. Okay, now for G7, it's going to be built on the 3rd again. Now this is going to be a diminished 5th. B up to F. But remember, an augmented 4th and a diminished 5th are both 6 half steps. The only difference is how many letters, the only difference is how you spell it. B, C, D, E, F, that's 5 letters. So this is a diminished 5th. Perfect 4th, perfect 4th, perfect 4th. Now, same exact voicing over G, starting on B, the 3rd for G, major 3rd for G. Gives us G7 altered. Altered meaning flat 9 or sharp 9, or in this case both. flat 13, or it could be sharp 5. Root, 3rd, 7th, sharp 9, flat 13, flat 9. And then to repeat, I move down a whole step back to where I started. Repeat, down a whole step, down a half step, up a perfect 4th. Whoops. Let me do it again. Down a whole step, down a half step, perfect 4th up, whole step down, repeat. That's what's happening in the backing track. Now the bass line is playing roots and fifths together on the and of 4 before the chord change. So anticipating each chord. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. And so it's playing the roots on all the ands, but starting before the measure on the and of 4, 1/8 note early. And then it's playing the fifth also on the and of 4 and the and of 2 with the, that'll be with the left hand low tom-tom and the bass drum. And it'll line up with the hi-hat as well. So again, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, 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 and 1. So think of that as a pickup, the and of 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2. And that's like I said when I was crashing on the end of 4 instead of 1. Don't necessarily think of it as the end of the measure. Think of it as a pickup for the next measure. Okay, now I would like to talk about modes of the melodic minor scale. So in case you're unfamiliar, melodic minor means you raise 6 and 7. So A to A with all white notes. That's natural minor. Now I'm going to sharp 6 and 7. And in the context of modes of melodic minor, I'm not going to naturalize them descending like you would normally would in the European classical tradition. Okay, that's a melodic minor scale or mode. If I say modes of the melodic minor scale, it's usually going to mean playing those same notes starting on a different note. But you also might hear me call this the first mode of melodic minor. And sometimes I'll use that to distinguish it from the naturalized descending that you'll see in the Hanon book and the scale, the Alfred chords, scales, and arpeggios book. In a jazz context, when we're talking about modes of melodic minor, including the first one, I'm not going to lower them descending. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use a mode of melodic minor scale for each of these chord qualities. Minor 6, F sharp minor 6. You could now call it minor major 7 because F sharp melodic minor has E sharp, which is a white note. That's the major 7th for this minor chord. So you could call it minor major 13. But I'm just, the actual chords in the accompaniment part are not playing the major 7th. I'm just using this as an example. You could, more commonly, you'd probably use Dorian for a minor 6/9 chord. But for now, just to show you how versatile melodic minor scales are, using F sharp melodic minor for F sharp minor 6/9. Then for A7, I'm going to use what's called a Lydian dominant scale, which is the 4th mode of a melodic minor scale. So if you think backwards from the root, down a 4th, I'm going to use an E melodic minor. So So we have F sharp in the key signature. E, F sharp, G, A, B, and then C sharp, D sharp. That's the raised 6 and 7 for E minor. I'm going to play those notes starting on A. For A7. So it's one note different from A Mixolydian, and it's that raised fourth. And that's why it's called Lydian. Lydian meaning sharp 4, or you could say sharp 11. And dominant meaning major 3rd, minor 7th, or flat 7. To get this Lydian dominant mode or scale. I'm going to do that exact same thing for A flat 7 or G sharp 7. Let's say it's G sharp 7, so it's going to be the fourth mode of D sharp melodic minor. D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, D double sharp. I said it wrong. C double, damn it. Let me do it again. D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C double sharp is what I meant to say. D sharp. So that's C double sharp, that's D sharp. Now if I do it as E flat minor, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C natural. Now this is D natural. Those two notes are outside the key signature either way. So over A flat 7, dang it. Starting on A flat, that gives us Lydian dominant. Lydian meaning sharp 4 or 11. Dominant meaning major 3rd, flat 7. To make a dominant 7 chord. Dominant, you have 9, sharp 11, 13 would be your extensions. I'm having trouble playing this. My hands are kind of fatigued, to be honest. Okay, then here's where we get into spelling problems is with the altered scale, which is the 7th mode of melodic minor. So for G7 altered, it's going to be the 7th mode of G sharp melodic minor or A flat melodic minor. Either way, it sounds like this. And either way, you're going to have a spelling problem. For example, if this is GBF for G7, root 3rd and 7th. I'm omitting the 5th because the scale has these two notes. So let's say it's G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F double sharp. That's a G sharp melodic minor scale. So the root is misspelled if you start on G sharp and you use each of the 7 letters once and only once. Okay, so let's try A flat melodic minor. A flat, B flat, C flat. The 3rd is going to be misspelled because the 3rd above G is B. So either way, you're going to have a spelling problem, and this is how I think of it. I think of the 9th of the chord splitting into 2 notes, flat 9 and sharp 9. So that means I'm going to use the letter A twice, and it means I'm going to be using a mix of the notes from G sharp melodic minor and A flat melodic minor, the inharmonic spellings. I'm going to be using both. So G, A flat, A sharp, so 2 A's. Then I'm going to skip D when I get to D. So this is B. I'm going to call this C sharp, which would be sharp 11. But you could also spell it as D flat, which would be the flat 5th. And often the difference is whether or not you have the 5th too. And in this case I do have the perfect 5th in the bass. So there is going to be this conflict with this altered scale above this power chord. Because with the mode, I'm skipping the letter D and playing C sharp to E flat, sharp 11 to flat 13. But in the bass, there's the perfect 5th, the D that I'm skipping in the scale. So, but altered scales are dissonant, and that dissonance resolves. So in this case, it's going to go back to F sharp minor. So this dissonance resolves. So anyway, so I got G, A flat, A sharp, B, C sharp, E flat. See, I skipped the letter D. I repeated the letter A, and I skipped the letter D, and then F, G. G, A flat, A sharp, B, C sharp, E flat, F, G. Because this is flat 9 and or sharp 9. This is sharp 11, flat 13. So you could have all four of these altered extensions. So altered basically means flattening or sharpening extensions, or both. In this case, well, I'm not using the sharp 11, but I do have both sharp 9 and flat 9 with this voicing I'm talking about. So let me do it all together now. I think I forgot to do this. I'll do it again, a little slower. It's hard to reach these all at once, but if there's a bass player playing the root, it's much easier. You can do 2 notes in the left, 3 in the right, or 3 in the left, 2 in the right. Or you could double this note at the octave and do 3 in each, like this. So those are rootless voicings above the bass line playing the root. Okay, so again, F sharp, melodic minor, A Lydian dominant, the 4th mode of E melodic minor, G sharp Lydian dominant, the 4th mode of D sharp melodic minor, and G altered, the 7th mode of G sharp or A flat melodic minor. So it'll sound something like. I remembered something I forgot. That the altered scale is also known as diminished whole tone, because the first part looks like a diminished scale, the half whole diminished scale, half, whole, half, and the second part looks like a whole tone scale, whole, 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 whole. So that you'll hear both names, diminished whole tone scale and altered scale. And again, altered means flat 9, sharp 9, either flat 5 or sharp 11, either sharp 5 or flat 13. And in this case, I'm calling this sharp 11, flat 13, because I do have the 5th in the bass. Let me do that one more time. So. So this isn't the only way to do that, but it is a way to use the same exact voicing for all 4 chords, and it's 3 chord types, because the second and third chord are both dominant 7, 13. and in 3 modes of melodic minor as well. For the first, the fourth, and the 7th. The first for a minor 6/9 chord. The second to the Lydian dominant for both the A7 and A flat 7, or G sharp 7. And the 7th mode, the altered scale for, in this case, G7. Flat 9, sharp 9, flat 13, sharp 11. So hopefully that mostly makes sense. If it doesn't, if you don't know melodic minor scales, it'll probably be very confusing. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.